The diner was nearly empty. It was past 11, and the only sound was the hum of the refrigerator and the scrape of a mop across linoleum. A young waitress moved between tables, her apron stained, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. She'd been working since 6 that morning. This was her second shift. Her feet ached. Her rent was overdue. She didn't have the luxury of going home early. That's when she saw him. An elderly man in a wheelchair near the window, hunched over a bowl of soup. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold the spoon. Soup dripped from his fingers, down his chin, onto his lap. He tried again, failed again, his face flushed with embarrassment. No one else noticed, but she did. Without hesitation, she walked over, knelt beside him, and steadied his trembling hand. She didn't speak loudly. She didn't make a scene. She just guided the spoon to his mouth, one careful bite at a time. She wiped his chin. She smiled at him the way you'd smile at your own grandfather. What she didn't know was that someone was watching. Across the street, inside a black luxury SUV, a man in a tailored suit sat perfectly still. His phone glowed in his hand, but his eyes were locked on the window. On her, on the old man. His jaw tightened. His breathing slowed. Because that man in the wheelchair wasn't a stranger. He was his father, and he hadn't seen him in 2 years. Her name was Maya. She worked 2 jobs, this diner at night, a grocery store during the day. She hadn't had a day off in 3 weeks. Her younger brother was in community college, and their mother had passed 2 years ago. Maya was all he had, so she worked. She smiled through the exhaustion. She never complained, because complaining didn't pay bills. Kindness wasn't a philosophy for her. It was reflex. It was how she survived a world that rarely gave her anything back. She helped the old man because that's what you do. You see someone struggling, you help. It wasn't heroic. It was human. Across the street, the man in the SUV had a different name. One you'd recognize if you followed business news. Andrew Colton, CEO of a multinational tech empire. Net worth in the billions. He'd been on magazine covers. He'd closed deals that reshaped industries. People feared him in boardrooms, respected him at galas. But no one really knew him, not even his own father. Andrew's father had been in that wheelchair for 4 years. A stroke. Andrew had paid for the best care, the best facility, the best everything. But he hadn't visited. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. He told himself he was too busy, that his father wouldn't even remember him anyway. But the truth was simpler and uglier. Seeing his father like that, frail, dependent, fading, reminded Andrew of his own mortality, his own failures, his own loneliness. So he stayed away. Until tonight. Until he saw a stranger do what he couldn't. Then it happened. The old man started coughing. Not a light cough, a violent, choking fit that shook his entire body. His hands flailed. The spoon clattered to the floor. His breathing turned ragged, desperate. Panic flashed across his face. Maya didn't freeze. She moved. She positioned herself beside him, one hand steadying his shoulder, the other gently tilting his chin upward to open his airway. She grabbed the water cup, held it to his lips, and waited. "Breathe," she whispered. "Slow. You're okay. I'm right here." His coughing eased. His chest stopped heaving. She rubbed his trembling hands between hers, warming them, grounding him. She didn't leave his side until his breathing returned to normal. She didn't check her phone. She didn't glance at the clock. She just stayed. Outside, Andrew watched it all. His father, gasping, helpless, alone. And this girl, this stranger, holding him together. Something cracked inside him. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet, unbearable realization. She cared more in 5 minutes than he had in 2 years. He couldn't sit there anymore. He shoved the car door open and crossed the street, his footsteps sharp against the pavement. He pushed through the diner door with enough force that the bell above it rang violently. Everyone looked. Maya turned, still kneeling beside the old man. Andrew stood in the doorway, tall, imposing, his jaw set. His eyes locked on his father, then on her. Maya stood slowly, instinctively stepping between them. She didn't know who this man was, but she knew the look in his eyes, and she wasn't going to let anyone upset the man. She just calmed down. "Who are you?" Andrew's voice was sharp, controlled, but there was something dangerous underneath. Why were you touching him? Maya didn't flinch. I was helping him. He was choking. Helping him. Andrew stepped closer. You don't know him. You don't know what he needs. I know he was alone, Maya said quietly. And I know he was scared. Andrew's face tightened. He opened his mouth to respond, but then a sound stopped him. A weak, trembling voice from the wheelchair. Andrew. The old man's hand lifted slightly, shaking. His words were slurred, barely audible. She helped me. Andrew froze. His father's eyes were wet. Not from the coughing. From something else. Relief. Gratitude. Maybe even love. Maya looked between them, realization dawning. Wait. You're his son. Andrew didn't answer. He didn't need to. She stared at him for a long moment. And when she spoke again, her voice was softer but no less direct. He comes here once a week. Always alone. Always sits by the window. And every time, I help him eat. Because his hands shake too much to hold the spoon. Andrew felt the words like a punch. Once a week. Alone. Every time. I didn't know anyone was coming for him, she continued. I just thought someone should. The silence that followed was suffocating. Andrew's father looked down at his lap, ashamed. Ashamed not of his disability, but of the truth she'd just exposed. His son didn't visit. A stranger cared more, and now everyone in the room knew it. 3 hours later, there was a knock on Maya's door. She wasn't expecting anyone. It was past midnight. She lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of a building with no elevator. The hallway smelled like mildew and fried food. She opened the door a crack, chains still on. Andrew Colton stood in the hallway, still in his suit, still perfectly composed, but his eyes looked tired. How did you find me? Maya asked, heart pounding. Your manager gave me your address. He paused. I need to talk to you. She hesitated, then unlatched the chain and stepped into the hallway, closing the door behind her. She wasn't letting him inside. Not yet. Andrew didn't waste time. I want to hire you. Maya blinked. What? To take care of my father. Full-time, as his private care coordinator. She stared at him. I'm not a nurse. I have nurses. They are professionals. But they are not you. His voice softened, just slightly. He smiled tonight, for the first time in months. Because of you. Maya crossed her arms. I don't want your pity. It's not pity, Andrew said firmly. It's competence. My father trusts you. That's Ray. And it's worth more than any credential. He handed her a folded piece of paper. She opened it. Her breath caught. The salary was 3 times what she made working both jobs. Medical coverage, transportation, and a line at the bottom, educational support for dependents. Her brother. He meant her brother. I don't need charity, she said quietly, but her hands were shaking. It's not charity, Andrew repeated. It's a job. One you're already doing. I'm just finally paying you for it. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat at the kitchen table, staring at the paper until the numbers blurred. Her younger brother, Marcus, found her there at sunrise. You okay? He asked, pouring himself cereal. She told him everything. The old man. The billionaire. The offer. Marcus listened, then shrugged. Sounds like you should take it. It's not that simple. Why not? Because people like that, they don't just give. They take. And I don't want to owe anyone anything. Marcus sat down across from her. Maya, you've been helping people your whole life. You help me. You help strangers. You don't even think about it. Maybe it's time someone helped you back. She wanted to argue, but the words stuck in her throat. The next morning, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello. It was Andrew. His voice was quieter than before. My father asked for you. Maya's chest tightened. What? He woke up this morning and asked when the kind girl from the diner was coming back. Andrew paused. He doesn't ask for much anymore, but he asked for you. Maya closed her eyes. That was it. That was the moment the decision made itself. I'll do it, she said, but on my terms. I'm not a servant. I'm not decoration. I take care of him because he deserves it, not because you're paying me. There was a long silence. Then Andrew spoke, and for the first time, She heard something like respect in his voice. I wouldn't want it any other way. 2 months later, Maya stood at the edge of a ballroom she never thought she'd see the inside of. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, people in tailored suits and designer gowns. This was Andrew's company gala, an annual event where investors, executives, and politicians gathered to celebrate another record-breaking year. And she was there, wheeling his father through the crowd. People stared. Some whispered. A few stepped aside awkwardly, unsure how to react. They weren't used to seeing him, the disabled father tucked away in a care facility, the part of Andrew Colton's life no one talked about. And they definitely weren't used to seeing someone treat him like he mattered. The father's hands began to shake. Maya noticed immediately. She knelt beside the wheelchair, steadied his hand, and guided a glass of water to his lips. She wiped the corner of his mouth with a napkin. She leaned in close and whispered something that made him smile. Executives nearby shifted uncomfortably. They didn't know where to look. Then the lights dimmed. Andrew took the stage. The room fell silent. He started his speech, strong, confident, commanding. The usual. But halfway through, he stopped. His eyes found his father. Then Maya. Before I continue, Andrew said, his voice quieter now, I need to say something. The room held its breath. 2 months ago, I watched a waitress help my father eat soup in a diner. I didn't know her name. I didn't know her story. But I watched her treat him with more dignity in 5 minutes than I had given him in 2 years. People glanced at each other, confused. Maya's heart pounded. Her name is Maya, Andrew continued. And she didn't just help my father. She reminded me what respect actually looks like. What care actually means. He paused, his jaw tight. So tonight, I'm announcing a new initiative. The Maya Grant, a fund supporting disabled seniors and the caregivers who do the work we overlook. Because people like her shouldn't have to work 2 jobs just to survive. And people like my father shouldn't have to be invisible. The room erupted, not in polite applause, in shock, in awe, in something close to disbelief. Maya stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. And beside her, Andrew's father reached up with a trembling hand and squeezed hers. 3 years later, Maya wasn't working 2 jobs anymore. She was a director of the Maya Grant Foundation, a program that had already helped over 12,000 caregivers and funded care for more than 8,000 seniors who'd been forgotten by everyone else. She still visited Andrew's father every week. His health had stabilized. His hands still shook, but less now. He smiled more, laughed, even. And when she walked into the room, his face lit up the way it used to when Andrew was a boy. Andrew came too, not out of obligation, out of choice. He'd learned to sit with his father in silence, to hold his hand, to be present without needing to fix anything. Maya had taught him that, not through lectures, just by showing up, week after week, with patience, with love. One afternoon, as they sat together in the sunroom, Andrew's father looked at Maya and said, with slow, careful words, "You saved us." Maya shook her head gently. "I just helped." But Andrew knew better. She hadn't just helped his father. She'd saved him too. From a life of guilt. From emotional numbness. From becoming the kind of man who forgets what matters. Because here's the truth. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness isn't small at all. It's the thread that unravels years of loneliness. It's the moment that rewrites someone's destiny. It's the choice that reminds us we're human. Maya didn't set out to change anyone's life. She just saw someone struggling and decided to stay. And in doing so, she gave a father back his son, a son back his father, and a world a reminder that compassion, even in the smallest gesture, is never wasted. It echoes, it grows, and sometimes it changes everything.